Order, please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bill, roll call, please.
Lehman. Here. Underwood.
Here.
Gilman. Here. Horn.
Here.
Castle.
Here. Next item is approval of the agenda. I do not see any blue sheets. Does any of the commissioners need to add anything to the agenda?
Take care of what I said. Commissioner Cowan did after I answered.
Okay,
I'd make a motion to approve the agenda as it's.
support. Motion by Commissioner Gill and support by Commissioner Kwan to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes. Does any commissioner have any conflict of interest regarding any items or topics on the agenda? Seeing none. Move on to public comment. Does any member of the public have any comment? Okay, if you could please have, we'll read the rules, and then if you could come up and state your name and address.
Any person may make an advance appointment with the board regarding road commission topics for a regular or special meeting in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. And if an appointment is made, the topic will be an agenda item. The following applies to public comments. Please state your name and address. Topic must be relevant to the road commission. Individuals are allowed to speak once for up to 3 minutes on any single topic, which may be extended by the chair. A group addressing the board requires a designated spokesperson who may speak up to 10 minutes. The board will not act on any item from the public that is not on the agenda.
Thank you. Please state your name and address.
Greg Silva, 11293 Lakeshore Drive, Lake Township. You as a board have two big decisions to make in the very near future. One is the millage. Last week, the chairman of the Board of County Commissioners all but invited you to increase your request for millage funds to cover the costs you say that you need to repair the roads. And then two, whether to direct your staff to complete the priority list from the 2016 millage renewal campaign using MTF funds and millage funds only. Because as it stands now, they're asking for a 50% contribution from the townships. That's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have any public comment? Seeing none, close public comment, move on to the action items. First action item is appointments. Mr. Tom Menzel regarding the Huffman Road right of way. Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tom Menzel, 9704 Edgewood Avenue, Traverse City, 49685. With me tonight, helping me in some handouts is my granddaughter Juliana, my friend Evie, and Scott Hardy may have some specific question or answers to some questions regarding the issue. Juliana, would you please hand that out? And you,
Thank you.
This kind of lays out the issue. This goes back to 1977. I bought this property in 1974, and I owned. It was Compton's Hardware, and it was a barbershop. And about 1977, the cities alone asked us to consolidate the two. There was a gas station that was going to tear it down, and so it resulted in a cut up piece of property. Currently, to help them out, I gave them a 20-foot right-of-way easement into their bank building. It's owned by other people, and then I have purchased this one little a piece of property over here. It was leased for 40 some years, and we are having a hard time getting a lease, basically because there isn't enough square footage. I've had Bigby's and others, say they need a half an acre and don't have that. This will break it down. Here, girls, you have that little. I want one myself. Like that's what I can see. This is the current survey you're looking at, and it kind of gives you an idea of what the issue is. The road to the back, Hoffman Road, is a 90-foot easement, which is unusual. The main highway 31 is only 66. And it just is cut us up to the point where it's hard to get someone interested in the property. To give you an example, on lot 1, it's 4,818 square feet. The big lot in the middle, the hardware store used to be, is 10,000. And the one in the far left in the south is 3,662 feet. So the total of all of that is 18,508 square feet, which leaves me 3,492 short of a half acre. And people that were looking at saying, I gotta have a half acre. It doesn't work without a minimum half acre. So what I'm asking for is this right of way of 24 feet to see if there's some way that can be added to that piece to make it economically viable for someone interested in building on it. There's a, I believe the road is a 66-foot normal road. I've done some research in trying to track down what happened to that. This is the abstract of title. I don't know if you want to see that. I don't want to overburden you, but trying to trace it back as far as we could. I talked to Gordy Fraser and Associates, and I talked to you people about 2 years ago, and they asked me to get a seek out equalization and get a review of it, which I had the attorney do, and found out it goes back to around the 1870s is when this was started, and so it's a long way. We tried to get it as much as we could. I'll pass this around, but you can see the problem we had. It was very hard to read. And you just look through that, but it was impossible to determine what we have. Thanks. So what I've done is I've talked to Doug White and Lindsay and of the township. They have no problem with this being given to me. I believe Doug White will be talked to Dan Tuesday and verify that the township doesn't have, or he doesn't, Lindsay doesn't have a problem. I've asked them where that 40 feet discrepancy came in, and no one knows. And that's what we tried to find out by looking through the past records and having Gordy Fraser and Associates. We did a title search and did find that the title was incorrect. And we did have, I'll pass this up to you. And I've underlined the spot here, which says that in terms of my efforts, we've now corrected the title, the description, which was incorrect, and now we have that corrected. But basically, what I'm asking for is, also talk to NDOT, Cooper Fitzpatrick, and made sure that there weren't any problems from NDOT's perspective. I said, well, what if you put a turning bay in there, or the roundabout? And he said that there would not be a roundabout now or in the foreseeable future. They've done what they're going to do there. So basically, I've got this underperforming asset that I can't make a performing asset. It's kind of not a good brand for the community, because you see a vacant lot coming in there, and I need some help from you people if you would consider giving 24 feet. Now, even 12 would happen. And Scott can address that more, but when you talk about these franchises, they have stacking issues and they don't have enough room to stack. So then they say, well, we can't do it. And so if I was able to get just 12 feet, that would give me 22,639 feet, which would be just a half acre. And if I get 24, it would be 26,770. Right now, it's not being used for anything. The township, as you know, is moving over to their new location. And they have no problem with this. I talked to Doug and I said, why don't you take 12 and I take 12? He said, no, it's right the way it is because the road is right there. The 24 feet is on the other side. So we don't care if you have the 24 feet. We don't need the 12.
So is that verifiable every week? So our center is actually closer to the township side.
I believe the township's correct on our 33 feet, and then we have all this
So
extra.
if we could maintain the center, frankly, let me jump ahead here. I have no problem with this, and I brought it up to Wayne before. Wayne went on about the whole MDOT's going to build a roundabout there someday thing.
Went around 2 years.
I understand, and I'm just, we run into this kind of stuff. We need to resolve this kind of stuff, and I think that it doesn't make sense to have a 90-foot right of way for that particular stretch. It just doesn't make any sense. It should be a 66 and 31 right now. Is that 66?
That's 67. On that first paper I gave you, you can see it says US 31, 66
Yeah.
feet. So the main highway is 66 feet, the one that's hardly used at night.
So they're edge to edge right now, there, right?
They're ahead of us, yeah, they're ahead of us, you're right.
I don't have any. Did you have more that you wanted to say? No.
No, I just want to
I
get.
don't have any, I don't have any, I don't have
any.
any problem surrendering it, but I think we should have to, I think
We probably.
we have to sell it to them,
Yeah.
not give it to
I don't have any money, guys, but
them.
Well,
Because if we were buying the right of way for one of our projects, we would have to buy it at fair market value. And I think I think we should, it's the taxpayers, our constituents' property. And I don't think we should give it away. I think if we sell it, if we surrender it, we should surrender it for fair market value.
So if I understand correctly, Tom, from the center line towards your property, how many feet is it?
you'd have the 66, which is normal, and you would add 24 to that.
Okay, so 66 plus 24,
That's correct,
and you,
which is the 90.
and so you are asking for that 24 to be
24 feet.
granted.
You know, I'd even take 12 if I could get it, because I've got to get over that half acre to have anybody interested in leasing the property.
but if the center, and that's the thing, if the center is where it's at,
That's right.
then that's where it should remain.
Yeah.
Then we don't have to reconfigure, really. We just shrink our right of way footprint and keep the center where it's at. And guess what? We don't need the 24 feet on the other side.
That's what Doug said. He said, I said, well, why don't you take 12? I'll take 12. He said, I don't want 12. It's right to where it is. And you just take the 24. Makes
I
sense.
think we do have to, I agree with Alan that we have to at least have something.
Well,
It doesn't have to be, that we're not, but it has to at least have something so we can say that,
Well, I would, I have no problem with that. And
but I think we should do the whole
saying,
24.
it has no value as it stands.
That's right.
It's too
That's
small to
exactly
do
right.
anything. But whatever you think would be fair, I certainly am willing to listen to. I just want to get it someday. However, I have to do that. I know you have certain ways if you want to do it to have public scrutiny, and I
And
appreciate that.
That's where I'm gonna go. I don't have a problem with this either, but I think we need to check with the legal counsel because there might be a certain way we have to dispose of.
There was a problem here a few years ago
That's
with,
what I was gonna ask.
with something that I was sort of involved with. The road commission was gonna give the sheriff's department our gravel pit. Because the commissioners at the time didn't think a
That
gravel,
was what we were being sold,
they were being sold, and the fact that the gravel pit didn't have super value. Well,
as it turns out.
the gravel pit has a tremendous amount of value. And so they stopped and said, well, wait a minute. Maybe we shouldn't sell it until we have a policy about disposal of property. We talked about that when somebody made us an offer on our lot out here, that they wanted to build some developer came to us 36 months ago. That was a big parcel out there we're not using right now. So Joe, if you think legal counsel's fine, but I think the board should have a policy about selling excess property. In this case, I think Tom's probably right. Probably should attach to his property if he wants to do that. I would not have a problem for that. But I think
Right.
we can't give it.
But it has no value. as it is. And without the property that's going to be attached to. So we can't really,
No real market.
there's no
value.
real market value that we can attach to it. I think what we have to do is more of a token than anything.
Yeah, what's 24 feet of a right of way?
Well, if we were
In
buying
and
it,
of
if
itself.
we were buying it, what would it
Close,
cost us?
but when we buy right of way, it's in the context of
Somebody's value.
some value to a road. Independently, 24 feet of a right of way, it's of value to the property owner. I
But
agree with you
zero,
with that.
nobody else.
Yeah, it's not of any, in and of itself, it's not of, how do we attach a value to it other than from the property owner's standpoint? So,
If I may build on the value, and you stated is next to mine, the additional value is it takes a vacant piece of property and makes it valuable to get someone in there.
Well, both to the
For
township.
economic
yeah.
development, it's a win-win all the way around, but it can't be a win because I just can't get them interested on that amount of square footage. I just need some more.
And Wayne was concerned about a roundabout.
Well, he was concerned about MDOT's future use.
So, but let's just say that they decided to put a roundabout in there. They would have to purchase property anyway.
Yeah.
It's not like our
Yeah.
24 feet
Yeah,
of
let them
easement
buy
is
it at that
make or
time.
break, right?
Yeah.
Tom would be selling them a bank
To
building.
build on your, I don't own a bank building.
Okay,
However,
To build on your point, though, that would become very important, because if they did put a
Right.
roundabout in, you'd need that 24 to
Right.
move back, so.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
who owns the bank building right now?
It's owned by, what was their name? The people I worked with for 50 years have both passed away. It's the
Leonard.
Leonard, right. And thanks, Scott, and. the age next week.
So when we're talking about reducing our footprint, or at least our right of way, then we're also talking about, there would be the 24 behind that as well.
No, I own that.
Oh, you own that second, you own
I
that
own-
sliver
I
there.
own the whole
Yeah.
So the bank building is still just kind of, it's just.
Right.
kind of-
Well, I gave them a 20-foot permanent easement so they could have access to it.
Got it.
that's why I was thinking it makes no matter on future
Yeah,
plans.
yeah, it doesn't
MDOT.
really.
And on its own, it has no value.
well, let's talk about the value part. I know you have Scott here. Has any attempt been made to do an appraisal of this 24 feet, start from your prior experience?
We have not done any commercial appraisal on the footage that's there. You want me to come up there?
Sure.
We've done no appraisal on that footage. There's no,
They'll give me your name.
all right, Scott Hardy, 406 Northwest Silver Lake Road, Traverse City, 49685. There's no reason to do an appraisal on that right now. The only appraisal we might do somewhere in the future is with that additional square footage.
When it's
Might
actually
it be
marketable.
But at this point, Tom's right. It's been 2 years of trying to get somebody to come in there and lease that property. And the ultimate use on that would be a franchise of some sort, fast food franchise. And they just basically have said, we need stacking, we need turnarounds, we need something we put drive-through in, and we need more square footage. That's where the half acre criteria come into play.
I agree in principle that you should grant the 24 feet. I do also agree with Commissioner Underwood's comment that we should probably have legal counsel at least look at it from the standpoint of the concerns raised by Commissioner Lehman of disposal of both commission right of way and what's the proper mechanism for doing it. Even if we're not talking about dollar value, what's the proper mechanism for legal documents, the necessary legal documents to be prepared?
I'd be happy to pay for any legal costs or anything that you have to do to build it.
We should talk. No, I'm not, yeah, I appreciate the
Okay,
offer.
I don't
I
think it should
appreciate,
happen.
I don't think we are suggesting that, so that would be my
I think we should
suggestion.
go into a joint venture with them,
Well,
at least that way.
yes,
Okay.
it's either Chick-fil-A or Panera. I know that.
I'm trying to deal with any
We'll find out.
unsolved issues for my kids. This is one that's unresolved, so I need to get them paid up.
Anything else, Tom?
No, but thank
We
you
don't
very
have a
much.
Thank
disposable
you.
property policy is what I'm hearing. Do we have a recent example of any kind of disposal of property that we've handled?
You guys have been here longer.
I mean, I just haven't been on the board, so,
The only thing we've done since I've been here, we bought some.
Yeah, I can't think of it. Yeah.
Okay.
So
There was a little bit, I think, on 3 Mile. That's slow in the front down there. Or maybe that was a house. That might have been a house.
So,
Right, we sold the house and then we, okay.
So, yeah, I mean, at the county, I was part of the writing of the disposal of public property policy. And yeah, it involved a public hearing and that sort of thing, which obviously this would not be an
Let's-
issue at all.
Let's cue this up.
We just need to
If we
do it
could-
right.
If we could pursue this,
Yeah, I would
direct staff.
we can make a motion directing staff to contact.
I'll make the
legal
motion.
counsel-
We-
Legal
yeah.
counsel.
I'd make the motion to direct staff,
What's the motion, just for the record?
that we direct staff to pursue the disposal of the property and seek legal counsel prior to doing so.
All right. So we have a motion from Commissioner Gilman and support by Commissioner Underwood, directing staff to seek legal counsel opinion on the disposal of the 24th.
Like closer than the last time you gave me a call, right?
Well, thank you for your time and consideration. I appreciate it. I think
You're welcome.
it could be a win-win for everybody here.
I think so.
Yeah. Seems like a no-brainer.
So there is a motion on the table. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you
Tom.
again.
Thanks, Tom.
Happy birthday. Have a fabulous trip.
Oh, thank you. Not many left, but 80.
Lots left.
Next item is the consent calendar.
The consent calendar is used to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together without discussion. Requests by any person present to remove any item from the consent calendar for full discussion as an agenda item are automatically respected. The action noted in parentheses for all items on the consent calendar are approved by a single commission adoption, the consent calendar. The manager recommends the following items be adopted. 1 minutes, 2 payroll, 3 accounts payable, 4 financial reports, 5 communications.
Thanks, Phil. Does any member on the board wish to remove any items from the consent calendar? Does any member of the public wish to remove any items from the consent calendar? Yes, seeing none, in a motion.
I'll move to approve the consent calendar support.
Motion by Commissioner Underwood, support by Commissioner Lehman to approve the consent calendar as presented. Roll call, please.
Underwood,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
Warren,
Yeah.
Lehman.
Yes.
Chasm.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next item is reports, commissioners to discuss any items from the staff report with is. Page 50.
I have one question. Is that part of it, the control panel of the new roundabout? Oh, what damaged the panel? Okay. I'm just curious.
No, control panel, what?
On the back side, the control panel for the lights and stuff.
Oh,
Brand-
for the lights out on.
Got damaged already at Potter's.
Brandon Roundabout.
With some people's kids. I was just curious.
I just wanted to point out something on the SADs that were mentioned in the report. I'm gonna make sure I say it right, but I think I'm gonna say it wrong. Is it Ridgewood in Garfield Township off of Lafreniere? Once again, an issue with, it coming in just way above the estimate that the residents had kind of expected. They originally had a really low ball estimate. This was with the previous staff member, so not pointing at any current staff member. When the township questioned them, the previous staff member said, oh yeah, you're right, I should probably add some money to that, added more money. And it was not near at all what came back with Derek's report. So once again, just like pointing out that we've got some data that we can use and some examples for talking about an SAD policy and ways that we can do the estimates to give people a much better idea of what they're purchasing. And then as far as that went, I know Derek isn't here tonight, but I was just curious. We had a discussion last meeting about maybe not offering the fully loaded Cadillac to everybody on the SAD projects. Is there any way that we can cut some costs on that project for the residents of Ridgewood to see if we could get them closer to what they had, their expectations? I mean, I just think we need to meet expectations within a small percentage, and this is an extremely large
That
amount.
was our discussion.
That was our discussion a week before Friday, and we were gonna talk about it in the commissioners.
So maybe we could talk about that with Ridgewood is what I was just thinking, because they're pretty sad.
We have their innocent.
Their sad is very sad right now.
That one's a little bit, I know, unique because
It is.
the water lines are being replaced. That's the reason the roads.
I just thought it might be a good example for us on how we could work on getting better what we've done and give people just better tools and better policies and. But that one I know was making them sad.
Any other commissioners have any items to discuss from the staff report? Okay, seeing none, we can move on to item E, which is commissioner updates on any meetings they have attended. So
Yeah.
since you brought it up.
Jason and I and Dan and Derek met and talked about standards, which we discussed the last meeting. We just
Great discussion.
great discussion. We discussed our complete streets policy, which came from MDOT, which is apparently in order to continue to get Act 51 money, you had to have a statement saying consider these things. And the past engineering department had kind of
Adopted that as a.
adopted that like,
Yeah.
okay, we must do
Like a
this.
must, not a shall. or
Yeah,
something.
and this is, we must consider them and do what is right to fit our
Better.
situation. And we've talked about that. We told Derek he has a tremendous amount of latitude. Right now, he's acting as our county highway engineer. We have, and we've said that discussion, the things we want to do, and the things that maybe the feds would have us do, we would address each situation locally depending on what it needed in his best judgment. We talked about some shoulder work. Dan had brought up the point, some of these extended shoulders, which everybody really likes, are adding a huge amount of money to these road renewals. And some of it, sometimes it might even be putting the projects out of our ability to pay for. So we can consider the fact whether it's done as just repave what's there, add a 3-foot shoulder, add a 5-foot shoulder, and it would be the engineer's a lot of the engineer's discretion. It does not have to be, we do not have to build a freeway in every instance. And especially, we weren't real supportive of changing the new design standards if somebody comes in and wants to build a new.
We don't want to saddle future
Right.
people.
With that. But
Yeah.
when we're going into neighborhoods, we would consider what was done in the neighborhood in the first place. How did that serve the residents and what are the costs?
So kind of a difference between a reconstruct and a brand new.
Exactly, Joe. Yeah. A new plat, a new thing that's gonna require
Right.
somebody to just bite the bullet and do that. But these neighborhoods that have existed, whether it's the width or whether it's the construction methods that have served the residents fine, that we will consider those. And we spent a lot of time on Town Line, which has kind of been something that's come on road commission's radar. And we were talking about a $2 million project perhaps, and we're hoping making some different considerations and maybe taking that below $1 million and still being
Considerably below.
Yeah.
and still making it an excellent road. And we've suggested some different construction methods and some alternate widths.
And some different standards for depending on where on the road it is. For example, at the culvert, we would have a better standard there because that tends to be where it becomes more problematic than the rest of it.
So the complete streets policy, that does not mandate us on existing streets to comply with those higher standards. It is to consider them.
It's to consider them. And Phil
Which is
brought
a
that,
huge difference.
well, we were talking about it when dug up these,
Yeah.
the old, and there was another policy to go with that and was very helpful. It's just consider. You have to consider it. And the engineers can consider it and then do what's best within the budget and within the road commission's residents' desires.
So is your committee recommending a separate policy codifying this or?
Well, and that's what we wanted Derek and Dan to bring to you guys and to kind of. It's the next step.
Yeah.
The ball's in your court.
Right,
Okay, and I think he can carry through what we were talking about is we're hoping.
But a lot of it is left up. We don't need a chart that has 8 different roadways and stuff. We have an engineering staff. We know what was there.
We need to give them
We need to give them the ability to do what's best. And
And
I
yeah.
think they have, well, we told Derek is he has it. He has our support. He brings these projects to us and it's, oh yeah, that'll work. If the residents don't like it, if there's something out of the ordinary and the board has to talk about it, fine.
Yeah, and that's fine. I just think that it's probably more useful to everyone and to future engineering department employees to have a policy in place that sets that guideline for them, that it is, we are giving them that discretion, because in the past, people have interpreted that policy, differently.
I mean, we have a professional engineer and we have 2 now still, I think, right? They're licensed and they're not gonna do something that's
And we
silly.
don't want them to.
So we need to consider their discretion
Sure.
and the people who come after them. When they're not here, they have should have a certain amount of latitude.
Well, I guess then it's up to staff and the engineering department to come to draft something, and then the policy committee. And I know that we have several items on the
You guys.
radar for the
Yeah.
policy committee. We have,
I kind of feel like this is the most important, because we have such a budget crunch and we have so many residents coming to us wanting to contribute money, but also wanting to do it smart, efficiently. And when we present them with the Cadillac of roads and they can't afford it, we don't have that alternative. And we could make a huge change to our budget by just making small changes on all of these projects. And we might even have enough left over to do an additional project that we wouldn't have had.
yeah, and I would also go so far as to suggest that in the interim, while we are drafting the policy, if that has been a discussion for the construction committee with the engineering department, and everyone is in agreement that that is indeed how the complete streets policy is interpreted. Then in the meantime, the engineers can go forward and exercise their discretion. They don't have to be somehow
Ridgewood.
prohibited from
Well,
doing
that's
this.
what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe with
Right.
Ridgewood, offer some alternatives for that.
Well, because it probably wasn't probably the estimate was prepared for and the other thing is our design guide really addresses primary roads. It really doesn't address local roads. And I'm not sure it should, I would like to leave it with the engineer's discretion. They go to the AASHTO book. AASHTO gives a lot of, a lot of leeway.
Mhm.
And many good ideas.
We don't want to be building literally to the white line,
No,
Right.
no.
but we don't need a 5-foot apron in most cases. Sorry, you're 5 foot apron.
Yeah.
On either side, but you said it brings the cost up like 30% or something. It's
Some project we saw almost 40%
Yeah.
increase.
it's crazy.
Not more.
So, I mean, I think one of the suggestion would be that now that the engineering department has more guidance on this issue and discussions with the construction committee, they can start implementing that. In the interim, we'll work on an actual policy that codifies it, because I mean, that's an important policy. The SAD is an important policy. I mean, purchasing is an important policy. We have some major items that we have to contend with in the very near future. So,
Yeah, if I can continue on just as far as
Sure.
we also, after that, went out to the Kingsley facility, which
Yeah.
it is really, really turned out very nice. And cross our fingers, that might actually, not go into any cost overruns. We'll put it that way.
Very hopeful.
I look at some of the surrounding counties, what they've spent recently, it's about twice what we committed to this project. And I gotta give Alan some credit, because a lot of what a lot of his input really was real cost considering, you know. And the fact that we're doing it, we're gonna have the truck wash. We have a facility that's enough, it's big enough to handle ourselves, and then when we need to assist MDOT. The salt barn is huge. It's huge. So we can lease that space as well, you know. I think we're in a really good place out there, and we've got a 50-60 year facility without any heavy maintenance in that time. That's a good investment for our team, basically.
You know, Dan had a big part in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
whole, the whole design before you were the manager here.
Yeah.
You really, you had been given a lot of latitude, I think, and the facility is excellent. Will serve our needs, and it's as modest as it could be, I guess.
It's modest, but it's good. And
Great.
And I saw, you know, the design, if you're from a technical standpoint, we're prepared for the technology out there too. I don't know if Larry had anything to do with that, but there's a lot of content out there.
I kept crunching Larry down a little bit.
Yeah, but boy, you know, the thing is, conduit's cheap. You know, the more you can lay out there, you just never know when you're gonna fill a pipe or something, so. Anyway,
Anything else?
that's it.
I'm just gonna bring back that our southern counties are happy with us for the most part. Mayfield, Kingsley, and Bakery Paradise, and our partnership there with Kingsley is good. There's a little bit of a thank you for handling the whole thing about the railroad and the high school and who owns what. Helping clarify where the line is. So, but overall, they're very happy. I do have a discussion topic. No, this one, but that's pretty much.
Blair and East Bay, fine. Went to East Bay with Dan. Always good. I've been using my time to speak to the township boards about the budget that was passed by the state legislature and just reminding them that who sits in the seat representing us down there makes a difference. And that there were $0 committed in new funds for roads. And that of the federal dollars committed, we did not get any either. And just reminding people that elections have consequences and our state budget is not good. If you read the ticker yesterday, John Rock described it as a drill through the heart of northern Michigan. It was a little bit graphic, but actually very appropriate, I think. And so I just am, you know, every time I get a chance to remind people to take a look at the state budget and what's going on and not going on for northern Michigan, but particularly our roads and why our projects cost more up here.
Thank you. I attended the Long Lake Township meeting with Dan. We talked about the project that started on July 22nd on South Long Lake Road and West Long Lake Road intersections. So I think especially the cutting down of the vertical slope, that is going to be a big improvement at that intersection because it creates some line of sight issues and what in the past that could cause some accidents at that intersection. And then we are doing some improvement on the West Long Lake, really on the crushing shape and also I think we can do some comfort. So it was a good meeting. And I don't have anything else to report. Okay. Next is commissioners discussion, because Commissioner Underwood, you mentioned something, so I'll give you first hits.
I'm gonna kind of go back when we started talking about the bill. Based on last week's county commission, we tossed around the renewal +2. And the county commissioners were basically, why are you asking us for money that will not at least keep you at pace? So I think that we really should consider, if you've done the renewal, ask for a second millage, ask for 2 more mills. And give it to the county. If they want to put it on, great.
Actually, we have recommended renewal. They have not, right, and they have not approved it yet.
Quizzed Dan and crew quite heavily I don't know if I'm gonna make any comments or not. Hey, but if you remember back when we started this whole thing, I was talking about a 1+2 millage. And renewal plus 2 additional mills. And I, based on their comments, I think they would welcome that.
Do we have to do it? Can't they just create it?
They can, and,
Yeah,
and,
that would be my suggestion.
and I would. And I want to be careful as to how much we read into the comments that were made at the Board of Commissioners meeting, because it was mostly Chair Henschel who drove that discussion, number one. And the 2 commissioners who did speak on it did not speak favorably.
Right.
So the other remaining commissioners were silent.
Yep.
On that. So I'm going to be very cautious as to how much deeply we want to, or how much we want to read into that. But to your point, absolutely. They can amend that
I
resolution
remember that
language.
when I
They
was
can
on the
do,
county board.
they can change it, and if they want to do it, that discussion, in my opinion, needs to start at the Board of Commissioners, because
I just want to be on the record again.
Yeah, I would hope they do not amend the on that. And as you say, if they want to add one, more power to them. But my concern is that you make it too steep a hill to climb, nobody's going to get to the top. And and insofar as the presentation, I disagree with the way it's being contextualized, that we just don't have it. Okay, I think we do. Okay, I don't think we have a surplus, but I think we have enough to continue with our preservation and continue adding good road miles to the system. It takes time, and preservation is really the only way we're going to get there. And that means that some things just fall apart in the meantime. As unhappy as that's going to make some people. I think I'd rather have the millage succeed, though, than fail for being what the public might deem too greedy. Right. Now, there are things that we can do to watch our dollars, and I mentioned this last month. Sometimes the competition to a monopoly is no award. And at some point, when you're one of the largest providers of business to a company, they might take heed and maybe sharpen their pencils a little bit and find ways to make good economics for their customers at Grand Traverse County Road Commission. So in some situations we can do that, in some situations we can't. But I don't think that we ask for more. I just don't.
I think it's a gamble. Because if that millage fails, then what?
That's really bad.
Right. Yeah. Then what?
We really can't.
Then the roads are, a lot of roads are going to be back to gravel.
Well, we really can't do our job.
But
Two separate.
yeah, and I don't know what the again, I think the Board of Commissioners has full authority.
PCAPs might have polluted the waters quite a bit.
I am completely opposed to that. And I still struggle with our actual millage that we have and making sure that people know the value of the dollars that they've already spent, so that they're even interested in renewing the millage that we have. And that's why it's our job to let people know how their money's been used and that we're using it to the best that we can. But everybody could make an argument that we don't have enough money with renews because everything costs more than it did the last time. And I know that property values have gone up. So the question is, has the cost of us doing business gone up more than the number of mills that we had before multiplied by the property value increase? I don't know the answer to that, but I struggle, I don't know. It would be an interesting thing to look at, the property value increase since the last millage and what the cost.
You got Phil stirring on already.
Phil, that's your weekend project.
CRA put it out, not too long ago, and they said we only had about 40% of the purchasing power, what we used to.
Right. So we have 40% of the purchasing power, but our property values in this area have gone up. It's an interesting thing. I don't have the answer, but I think it's a lot to ask people who are struggling to pay for things to increase anything. And I still think we need to earn their trust on just renewing our millage and letting them know what we're doing.
And the problem with the additional villages is government never wants to get smaller.
No.
Government always wants a bigger share of the money, and that includes us on the road,
Correct.
commission. But personally, I look at my property taxes and I right now in my home, in my near retirement age,
Yeah.
it might be, it's unbelievable how, I live in a modest house in Silver Lake. And,
You only have 2 votes left.
it's just, I have no.
I've never been to his house.
No idea. If you look at it, you'd say it's nothing special. Now my taxes are $950 a month.
It's a guest house that does it.
My second comment,
Mhm.
as it relates to the millage is I would encourage townships to look at a road millage in their own township, because then they can control 100% of where the money goes.
Cause they'll earn it, but they'll drive it too.
But they'll drive.
It would be
I would very much
100%
encourage
their township.
townships that can.
They gotta get reelected too, though.
I know,
that's
but
the difference.
And,
that would drive money into their township.
There's currently 71 counties that have townships that has at least one village.
Yeah.
I think politics aside, the fact of the matter is that if the millage, for whatever reason, fails, because for ideological reasons or for whatever reasons, I am very confident that the public will notice a noticeable difference in the quality of their roads. Because right now, they just feel that not enough is being done because they're paying the millage. So we can all fundamentally disagree as to whether a millage is needed or not, but if that millage goes away, all of us would feel a very noticeable difference in the quality of our roads. And I am also pretty confident that a lot of roads will actually go down to gravel roads.
Yeah.
Because we just don't have the money. If you take away $5 to $6 million, no matter how much we tighten our belts,
Because
We
people
are
don't
not going to be able to
understand
do-
where our dollars come from. They
So
don't
both-
get that it's the gas tax,
You
and they
know.
don't get that it's the same cent per mile or per gallon, no matter what the gallons cost. People don't realize that. And when the gas prices go up, they're like, oh, you're getting more money. That's not how it works.
no.
No, and people buy less gas when it costs more, so we actually lose money. Like, these are the common misnomers and why, people need to understand more about it.
And to the other point you made,
Yeah.
absolutely, when we have like billions of dollars in earmarks being given for zoos and
Yeah.
shooting ranges and all that,
Don't forget the electricity.
I'm pretty flabbergasted by the fact that we can't get earmarks from our legislators or from lobbying groups that can lobby for earmarks on roads and infrastructure.
Yeah.
Which everyone uses. It's a nonpartisan issue. Everyone uses
But it's
roads.
not now.
But apparently we can get $5 million for this project and that project, but not for
Yeah.
roads.
And again,
And
it
there's
goes
no-
back to who's sitting in the seat in Lansing.
Well, it also depends on, look, the CRA is a lobbying group, but it lobbies statewide.
Right.
We need to have local groups lobbying for earmarks and dollars, special funding for infrastructure.
You're talking about Northern Michigan.
Northern
No,
Michigan,
no,
and more even,
And,
that's
and,
even
and
more
just,
narrow.
just to put an exclamation point on that. So it was the CRA president who came up and was visiting, during that last meeting that we attended, the Paul Bunyan. He says, gee, I haven't been around anybody that's been this angry about this idea of a mileage tax. He said that. It's like, well, come on. I mean, where are you at? You're downstate.
There's a disconnect there,
There is.
and we need more advocacy at the local level in Lansing. And unfortunately, we don't have it. We have it for other projects that are
Right.
pet projects, but
Right.
not for a critical infrastructure such as roads.
Even here, we've talked about like the pot for potholes
I love pot for potholes.
money. That money that the county board has can serve, when it's served, when it's put to the roads, would benefit almost or everybody in the county. There are many other apps, but they benefit usually a very small, a much smaller select group. Not saying they're not needy, but the roads are something that everyone in the county can benefit from. And these other asks, which are large, the park asks were astronomical. And that benefits few.
One of
Not
the,
that it's not that parks aren't nice, but it benefits a much smaller contingent than the roads would.
I still think we have the electric vehicle issue. I think we have a lack of education on it. And one of the things I wanted to share that I don't think you guys would know is I work in tax credits for properties. And, you know, we compete against downstate to get these tax credits, right, awarded to us. We already have an inherent negative number because we're up north. We are a rural community, so we already behind. So there are 3 points awarded in tax credits for building electric vehicle chargers at your property. And 3 points is make or break for getting tens of millions of dollars worth of tax credits. So you better bet that all of the new projects that are starting with this October 1st round are going to be building electric vehicle charging stations for their housing projects, or we lose our 3 points on our tax credit application. And it's almost like a blackmail to me. Like if you don't put in, because there's a dollar value assigned and it's public dollars. People think, oh, it's the developers or private sector. It is not. It is awarding of tax credits of public dollars based on if you meet these criteria, X, Y, and Z. And now we have new ones, and it's electrical vehicle charge. It just started. So yeah, we're putting in electric vehicle.
Just kind of follow this under your hat next time you're talking to a legislature, you know, you talk about tax credits, and I think sometimes tax credits as an incentive, right? It's a good way to get certain activities done. What if our legislature came up with the idea that maybe it'd be a good idea to award a tax credit to partially cover somebody's SAD investment in their neighborhood?
Oh, right.
You think? You see?
Yeah.
I just gotta think out of the box here sometimes, and I don't think, you know, from a state government standpoint, it's a good direction of, you know, self-investment. I mean, it basically rewards self-investment and in the community, and frankly, they're gonna reap the benefit from the property tax increases down the road anyway. So
there's 2 property tax applications every year, April 1st and October 1st. And of the 50+ projects that apply every year, 1 maybe is north of Clare. So just to give you an idea of what we're dealing with, and now we have to build electric vehicle chargers in order to even be competitive.
So somebody must throw that out there.
Yeah, it was from somebody's spill.
So watch the cars burn up.
Any other?
Away from the building.
I am.
Yes, go ahead.
So a couple of things. Parsons Road. Dan, are you following up with these guys?
I know we got Steve watching that.
Well, today they went in, they tamped in something as if we were filling a pothole. Okay, and if they think that they're done there, they're sadly mistaken. And as far as I'm concerned, we need to have a policy that says if these utilities do not put us 100% the way that they found it, then we issue no more permits to them until that is done. And I'm serious, and I think we should withhold any permits, and they can do nothing until they make that right. Because that apron, the aprons that they cut all along Parsons, they're garbage now. They did this work today, and it's like, if they think that that's gonna substitute for a well-engineered apron, they're sadly mistaken.
Well, those were all brand new.
They were all, you know, it wouldn't be so bad if they were 10 or 15 years old, you know, but they're not, they're literally new this year, you know. And they destroyed, I mean, we had $1 million worth of work down there, and probably 20% of that is in those aprons, and they just chewed them up.
But that's a long-standing issue, right?
Well,
With utility companies, it's been.
We hold the keys. We don't have to issue them permits. We don't have to.
Well, I don't know. Yeah.
If we are mandated to issue, why ask for one? Why do we have to issue it? I mean, in other words, why do we have the permits? Okay, the permit is basically you are going to do it under these circumstances, under these conditions, and you're basically not going to leave us
Right.
in, holding the bag.
You have condition, you can attach conditions. to
That's
the
exactly
permit, And
And that's why I say a policy that says you cannot, until, if you have an unresolved, no permit is closed until it's back to its original.
I don't think we even need a policy. I think it can just, the permit language can be amended. And the board can approve it straightforwardly if staff brings a recommended language to add what you're suggesting is a condition.
Because I've been watching it, they had a dirt for a long time. Basically, it was a trench full of dirt in between our nice former apron pieces. And I watched it today. They were out there and they just basically tamped it down, and now there's just a nice little pothole filled. It's like a 3 by 30 foot pothole. That's been filled. And we've done better work just taking our crews out and doing some of our so-called, non-Elbers, work is highway.
So would you like to make a motion in that regard, directing staff to amend, to bring?
I would definitely, I'd make the motion that we direct staff to amend the permit language to accommodate complete reconstruction to our standards.
Are they required bond?
I imagine.
Hold on, we have a motion, so.
Yeah.
I'll support the motion.
Yeah, okay, we have a motion, and to clarify, you're asking them to bring a recommended language for our approval.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion for Commissioner Gilman, support by Commissioner Horn, directing staff to draft language for board approval, amending the permit conditions to include complete reconstruction prior to close of permit.
And then
Now-
I'll ask my,
Now you get everything.
can that include a bond?
We should.
Or, I don't know if it does or not.
Can you make the utility companies fund it? Is that your question? You could make private do it. People, can we make utilities? fund it?
Seems like
Do an
that.
escrow that you
It
have to
seems
do
like we
when
were
you do a
preempted with
utility.
some legislation a couple of years ago with some of that stuff.
Okay.
So we have to be, we can.
Yeah,
See
we
what's
talked
there.
about it a little bit. I didn't realize it till I drove down Parsons Road and saw all these after Jason had brought it up because he kind of lives close there. Did our permits say bore these and then they open cut them? What did our permits say? Because they seem to take a lot of latitude. When they had.
Rounding it down.
I believe the permits said they weren't supposed to go on Parsons. I'll have to read them again and look into that a little further.
So I think what Joe might be referring to. In a lot of projects, for example, in zoning. You can require developers to put on performance guarantees. And that's a certain dollar amount percentage of the project, right? I don't know if we can do something similar in terms of performance guarantees.
We
But,
just do very
yeah.
similar. When we do, like gravel roads and foresters come in and do tree work, you make them bond that road. So that when you done doing the tree and haul all the trucks out, they thought it was back to us.
So maybe we can do something, a similar performance guarantee, on projects that involve utilities.
What's our right of way on Parsons? Do you off the top of your head?
I'm gonna guess our standard 66.
6.
So, I mean, if you want to do a friendly.
But I mean, it's right into Avenue D, Avenue E. It just, those are our roads, period.
Call it alphabet soup.
So if you want to do a friendly amendment to include the performance guarantee recommendation to your motion.
Bring us up.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion, we have support, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. None opposed, motion passes. Any other topics for discussion before we move on to item G? Okay. Good discussion. Item G is public education. Dan, do you want to introduce and just give a brief summary of what we are
Yeah, definitely.
being
Yeah.
asked?
I think everybody remembers, Grammy Promotions. So we did a 6-month with them last time to do education piece. And that 6 months is now up. So we wanted to bring it back. I know they bring a presentation for us tonight.
Okay.
So wanted to share that presentation with you. And
And if you could just introduce yourself. to-
Absolutely. Susan Wilcox Olson, founder of Grand Bay Promotions. And with me is Hannah Cumler, one of our 3 valuable folks at Grand Bay. I really appreciate the opportunity to share some of our benchmarks with you on our partnership. We refer to this as a partnership. between Grand Traverse County and Grand Bay Promotions, community education through outreach and transparency. Next.
Trying to get in presentation mode. Sorry about that.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Grand Traverse County Road Commission and the community outreach through transparency, some of the highlights of the partnership, coordinating and executing media, overall communication through education, which includes delivery to TV, digital, print, and social media, sharing transparent and intriguing public service messages. I'm going to add in here being proactive rather than reactive, and with the assumption and hope that we are saving staff hours. Several ways that we contribute to the public awareness and relationship building. We ran in tandem with the Township Relationship Building event, where Dan and his team hosted townships from throughout the county. We invited media. The event produced media coverage and educated constituents. And I'd like to review some of the headlines. I think the new leadership at Grand Traverse Road Commission pushes for better communication with townships was hugely valuable. Also, TV 7 and 4, following in 9 and 10's footsteps, also covered the event, becoming aware that you all are very transparent. A second event that we hosted with the help of Dan and the entire staff at the Road Commission was the meet and greet with manager Dan Watkins, getting to know his values, what his agenda, what your agenda as commissioners are. Again, transparency and education. This event, again, hosted positive media coverage, which then in turn educated constituents, familiarized both public and media with Road Commission goals, objectives, and staff. And again, the headlines in itself share that transparency. We levered TV segments, not only at those events and throughout, but one of our first initiatives was hosting the TV 9 and 10 Michigan This Morning show, which resulted in 6 complete segments, reaching the morning market of 250,000 people in northern Michigan. Our goal was to share the names and faces of our hardworking Road Commission employees. Live segments, certainly, but then transformed into digital online stories with video sharing, and those live forever on the 9 and 10 News site, so always available. Again, more TV segments. We went into the field, and this was really a terrifically fun day. Several TV segments educating the community on the essential and positive work. Potholes, we did a morning show with 7 and 4, 2 live segments. 9 and 10 also followed suit with their story. And then also levering the commission and the process of brining, which also was a very educational process. In reference to being proactive, we knew that the roundabout in Garfield Township was ready to open. We alerted media, they covered it, and the awareness that it was done ahead of time, ahead of schedule, was valuable. Print stories with the Record Eagle, with personalized stories and reaching another audience beyond the TV and digital and radio audience. Educational for the public. We also saw this as a relationship building opportunity with the Record Eagle with new and longtime writers. For instance, Bill O'Brien came and covered the meet and greet. He was recently back at the Record Eagle after being away for years. His commitment to report positive facts, factual, along with a new writer, Peter Cobes, is also dedicated to the Road Commission and sharing those stories. Moving into another series of education for our constituents, those that may not be always watching the news, 9 and 10, 7 and 4, or reading the newspaper or the ticker or the business news, we added to that traditional media mix and developed a social content plan to include educational videos shared by the Road Commission's Facebook page. Videos featured Grand Traverse County Road Commission staff, their superior skills, important projects, and public questions and concerns. Social efforts expanded the Road Commission's audience throughout the county, reaching residents who may not consume traditional media. And a sampling here, working hand in hand with both Commissioner Korn and the Road Commission staff, a series on the women of the Road Commission was created. And I have to say, these women that you see, their daily work behind the scenes was very intriguing to many, many folks. The comments were amazing. Social video series continue. Of course, the benchmarks with the women of Grand Traverse Road Commission, there were 5 videos that we spaced out on the Facebook page. The whole entire series reached 18,500 plus in regards to folks actually seeing the video. Interactions, 336 comments, shares, likes, and saves. And I really like just to focus on a handful of some of the comments. Gosh, Heather Sexton had a great post. I've heard this gal is a rock star. You can tell she has a real passion for what she does. Thanks, Haley, for all your hard work in keeping Grand Traverse County roads safe. And that's just one of many, many, many in regards to those videos. We then took the video work and social feeds into the field. And you can see here some of your rock stars in the field. And this particular highlight, all 3 had great traction and great comments, but a real worthy note, the High Ridge removal video that featured Tom was the best performing video for the Road Commission with 35,000 views just in that one video alone and nearly 400 interactions. The entire series for the field work, you'll see here, the reach, almost 42,000 people, interactions over 500 with comments, likes, shares, and saves. And again, you'll see a handful of the many comments that were there. Thank you for sharing. Awesome job. Much appreciated in regards to comments. The entire series itself, all 8 so far that have been posted. The reach is well over 60,000, almost 60,500. Interactions, 850 plus comments, likes, shares, and saves. And something that I found really intriguing as we worked with Kylie and Rachel and the folks here, really defining how many minutes were watched and consumed by constituents. Over 14,000 minutes, equating to 234 hours of consumption by Grand Traverse County residents and learning and educating themselves. Our new series just launched a FAQ. Dan's first one is up and receiving comments and the like. I kind of like the fact that Renee said, well explained. So all in all, those are the key highlights and key takeaways of the last 6 months. I can't thank you all enough, the staff and Dan, truly, and Larry and everybody as we meet weekly, bi-weekly, ideas that are shared, story ideas are shared, again, being proactive, not reactive, while saving time for the staff members to get on with their real important work each and every day. And thank you, Commissioner Korn and Joe, for allowing me to be part of your communications day to day too.
All right, thank you, Susan.
Thank you, and I'm happy to answer, of course, any questions.
Sure, so I will open it up to questions, starting with Commissioner Korn, questions or comments?
I know there's 2 people that don't support extended communications on this board. But that's okay. That's why we all sit together up here, because we all have different ideas and come from different places. When I envisioned how we could dig ourselves out of the hole we were in last year, they far exceeded what I thought. I couldn't find the words to express what I was trying to say. I had frustrations with the position we found ourselves in last year. And I hoped some experts would come in and step in, and you far exceeded what I thought you could do. The amount of people that contact me about these posts is kind of funny, actually. We do not have the time to have somebody on staff writing press releases and getting the information out. We just don't. I work for an agency that, boy, do I wish had something like this, because I got to try to write press releases in between my time. So thank you. But the most important thing that I heard out of this is how many friends came up to me and said, I didn't know that my kid's friend's dad was on a road commission. Or I get mad every year when I see that they don't do this, and now I understand why. And it was funny because I shared with Susan just yesterday, an elderly mother of one of my friends, one of my classmates, posted, I don't understand why they never fix my road. It's dusty. So I tagged her in the new FAQ video at Dan, and she actually reached out to me today and she's like, thank you so much for doing this. So I was able as a road commissioner to answer a constituent without having to try to answer it because nobody wants me to explain grinding. But Dan did it, and we came up with these ideas of what are the most frequently asked questions that our staff, every one of us at our jobs have something we have to ad nauseum repeat over and over again, and you wish somebody could do it. We have that now. And it takes that off of the hands for commissioners with questions we get. Our townships have really liked it, particularly Blair. It was like very complimentary with what we've done because it helps them when they have people complain to them about roads. Like Alan was saying earlier, roads are something in the government that touch everybody. No offense to Joe, but maybe like none of us ever used the Register of Deeds or the Drain Commission or any of that. But everybody has an opinion about roads, and you know what they say about opinions, everybody has one. So this really did what we needed. We were in a very bad position last year, and I think that this was by far the best way to show that we have 5 people committed to transparency, and we have a staff that isn't just blank faces online for keyboard warriors to attack, and those horrible comments get shared over and over. We finally had a chance for something to stand up for our staff and talk about what they do and how well they do it. And our staff didn't have to take so time to do it. So thank you. I see a tremendous value in it, and I no longer think that we need a communications person on staff. I don't see the value in it anymore.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Corn, Commissioner Underwood.
Thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
I hope that we can extend at least another 6 months. I'm not sure how that mechanism works, but.
Commissioner Gilman.
So at the risk of being the,
We already know you are.
You were the sole nay vote. Yes.
So-
On the record.
so here's something that government often does, and we're talking about benchmarks, everything. Okay, so we got 41,000, 61,000 views. How does that translate into what we do? Okay, and how do you actually, how do you quantify it? Okay, you can't. Okay, and the only way to quantify it is to have 2 different parallel universes, one where we didn't do it and one where we did, and then compare the 2 and see what the results were. Government tends to say, look, for this money, we did this, and this is what you got.
You gotta sell the
No,
millage.
but I understand that, but at the same time, what happens if we didn't do that, and then we took that money, we did something else with it that was productive and fixed an intersection, whatever it takes. So it's hard to quantify something without looking at where you're taking the resources from in the first place. Insofar as I understand public relations, and I understand how public relations can help a company grow, and that's what companies do. Government shouldn't have to grow. And I mean, every time I see a Social Security commercial,
I know.
it's mad because we
don't
hear it all the time.
volunteer to
We're gonna run
contribute to
out of
that,
money,
no.
but they're advertising with our money
Right, but we don't have
to tell
volunteer.
us that we have something available to us that everybody knows is available to them. And I bristle every time I see government spending money on advertising. Okay, I think that our best advertising is going to be quality roads, and if we can't perform and can't get there, it doesn't matter what we put out otherwise. But that's me, and you'll count me as a reliable no vote to public relations dollars outside of the efforts. I'm not afraid to volunteer a little bit of my time for the
Go
cause.
online and start answering all the questions.
And I created a video to answer some questions.
Okay, I even made, I made a video and it's a professional production. Now, if it's not good enough, I can edit it. I haven't heard one way or the other, and I sure as heck haven't seen it out there, you know, and I don't mind doing the work if it's gonna help. You know, so.
Commissioner Lehman.
I think I think I was a reluctant yes. To hire Susan in a group, not because I would hire any group. I think if we have less people parading down to the county boards, that's helpful to us because it's some goodwill in the community. And I think a lot of people don't understand what we do. And I think so the informational videos, pretty good, probably. I don't think we should have to do it forever, right? So I guess we're discussing extending the contract. So I guess I need more information about whatever we're discussing.
Okay. I have a question.
Sure.
How do you select topics for developing educational videos?
Dan and staff as we meet bi-weekly. And what are the topics that make the most impact to be transparent, educational, and that are so timely. So when we were running, when the High Ridge efforts were going on, those were ideal times to be able to showcase that hard work. And of course, there's other opportunities. I think as each and every day goes on, I'm very fortunate that Dan will pick up the phone and say, hey, this is happening. The roundabout's opening early, so that we can disseminate that information. So it's really threefold: being proactive, coming up with intriguing stories, timely stories, and sharing the personalities that we're so fortunate at the Road Commission with staff. I also think, and Dan, jump in here, please. But it actually, the social videos created some really cool staff morale. That to the degree that after the first couple were shot and the women of the Road Commission, guys were coming up to Dan and said, when's my turn to be on a video? So
I asked that question.
and we would love more the merrier. Right, Hannah?
Yes, right.
So you are meeting bi-weekly with staff
Yes.
to identify topics on which you could.
An event
those,
and where can we use our resources best?
Then my second question is towards staff. Obviously, you deal with Susan and her team on a more frequent basis than any of us. What positive or negatives have you noticed or experienced in the last 6 months?
So when we first did this, I wasn't sure, you know, I haven't been doing this before, so I wasn't sure when we could win this. You know, I didn't really have a feeling the first time we did the first 6 months. Since then, I am a fan. I agree. Morale is definitely up. It's really nice to see that they love to see the videos, they like to talk about it. And unfortunately, you know, my day-to-day is a lot of negativity, a lot of phone calls. It's nice. We love meeting with them bi-weekly. It's a positive meeting. It's nice to do a positive meeting. Walk out there and a good mood, smiling. It's nice to have those once in a while. And I think overall it has been, positive.
Bill, do you have anything to add since you are part of our staff and management team?
Yeah, I wasn't part of the bi-weekly discussions.
Okay.
But yeah, I didn't know if there's any other models like for professional consultants, if it's more time and materials based or if it's more, flat fee based, maybe looking at some other, cost models.
So the other question I have is, in your presentation, you provided numbers, which I take it to be the objective data, which is how many interactions, how many views, how many comments. Comments are iffy, right? Comments are negative and positive, which I don't know if your comments were only positive comments or they were overall comments, but so I understand that that's one measure and that is the measure you have used in your presentation. But as a road commissioner, I am trying to figure out how do we measure if this contract has actually benefited us. And to Commissioner Gilman's point, it is impossible to quantify that,
Sure.
right? I mean, in a lot of other ways, you can say, yeah, we saved this money, or we made this money, or these were, there are no measurables, so to speak, here, other than these many people viewed it. Whether they just viewed it, whether they laughed at it, whether they deleted it, we don't know, obviously. So is there a way to do that, or is this the best that we can do, is to come up with numbers as to how many people viewed it and liked it or commented?
I think also the proof in the pudding, so to speak, are comments that you all are feeling out in the community. Is the road commission on the way with Dan, taking the previous person? Now we have Dan, we're focused on his transparency, his goals and objectives. I will say the media in covering these stories and working with Dan as being so transparent has been a huge positive. So I think that's a real key measurable too. They're willing to come and share these stories that are positives and continue to educate people. And I think that it's not a short fix, but a longer term fix of having, and I do think to Joe's point and others, with the millage coming up, the opportunity to share and be as positive about and transparent as possible is immeasurable.
Okay. I mean, I understand. Dan, have you gotten comments from the public as on these videos and this?
I have had some, it is funny, the one that Tom did with the hybrid.
Yeah.
Everybody loves that one.
Yeah.
They explain so much, and, you know, we targeted that so hard this year. It was great to have that piece out there.
So our challenge in the past has been the communication piece,
Right.
right? It has been a challenge with communication, not just with the township supervisors and township boards, but with the public at large as well. And to the extent that we are putting out more information about who we are and what we do, I appreciate that as well. On the other hand, I'm not sure whether this type of communication strategy really addresses the issues, that negativity that Dan is talking about, which is people are not happy on the road they have, or that's in front of the house, and there's nothing we can do about it. And that is the most negativity that we experience, are people dissatisfied with the condition of the road in front of their house. I don't know if this solves that problem. Like now we can put out some videos as to how we do our funding and MTF, but I'm not sure how many people are going to watch that. You know, that's probably not going to be a very good topic. And so I appreciate the positives. I'm with Commissioner Lehman. I'm struggling as to figuring out how this actually can be measured in terms of the actual challenges we face. I don't know whether there is a way that we can get that information.
Well, I'd like to say one thing. We've gone from no communication to at least beginning to have communication, to have some interface with the public. So we have become more transparent, is the phrase we're using. Where before we're plow trucks that go by and margin. Well, now there's a face to the plow. There's a person behind the plow truck. There's a person behind that person. And I think the more we can continue to educate, you guys have touched safety for 300 foot, 200 foot behind stuff, which is coming or past, and will become very evident in the fall. So I think there's more to begin to educate, and anything is better than nothing. Let's just be honest, we weren't doing anything before. And now we're at least being proactive with the community.
Part of that is always at our direction internally. People are handling things differently.
I was going to say that before, a lot of the issues that were there was like people were calling here that either the calls were not being answered, or it was going through some sort of a system that was automated system, or the staff that was answering was not being courteous and informative. A lot of that was that challenge too. And I understand your point. The public visibility is important. especially leading into a minute review, but generally speaking as well.
And it's a resource for Dan
Yeah, that's how I look at it.
and being able to get the word out the roundabouts ahead of time. That kind of information. He would have to take his time away from whatever project he's working on. Send it over to the person that will get us the right. I'd love to see this at least for another 6 months.
One of our strategic goals was making this a place that people wanted to work. And I think that this has gone above and beyond in helping the public image of the road commission and also the staff that works here. I'm not asking for a renewal of the contract. I'm asking for you guys to thank Bay Promotions for what they've done for the last 6 months. There is a tremendous impact that I have heard. You know, when I first joined this board, I called up Rob 6 weeks later and asked to be taken off of it. Okay, I didn't want to be on it. It was terrible. I actually look forward to coming to meetings now. I was a commissioner that didn't want to come into this room, and now I truly enjoy it. And the more I've gotten to know the people that work here and what they do, the more I realize that myself, somebody that sits on boards, has been in elected office, is involved in their community. I had zero idea what our staff did at the road commission. Zero. I didn't know what brining was. I've never lived on a gravel road, and I certainly didn't know that trucks put down stuff. I didn't know what high ridging was. I didn't know any of that. Now, when somebody comes up to me and asks me, I can be like, there's a video about it. Or, will contact Susan and be like, number one, we need to talk about why we chip and seal roads a year after we fix the road. I think I stopped commenting at 100 comments on it. One day I just started going through our comments just to get like some data. And somebody made a meme about it on Overheard in Traverse City. And it's like, the road just got fixed. And then it's a picture of the county road commission employee going, oh, I guess we better chip and seal it right away. But we should. And that's the value of getting this out, right? So it does matter to people that pay attention to that kind of stuff. And then there's people that don't, and that's okay. But I do think that we have come a really long way. And I also wouldn't have been interested in doing this contract a year ago because I wouldn't have been interested in highlighting what was going on here.
When you do spend money on a resource, I think that we should definitely get the bang out of the buck that we spent. We do have, talking about preservation. I have a guy who will speak before he was a road engineer for MDOT. He will speak before the board for free, no charge. On preservation. And if we go forward with the contract, certainly if we can invite the press to engage in that conversation when he's doing it,
Sure.
then that would be, again, it's, if we go forward with this, and I would suggest that we take advantage of those situations.
100%.
You can also look at it as a school tool. Because for the first time ever, we are actually showing the public what we actually do.
But that's my point. It's like, I didn't see those numbers. I didn't see, okay, how did it impact our recruitment?
Well,
If we are gonna make throughout these things, then let's see.
I said potentially could, because
Right.
up until now, you basically talked to,
There's a man sitting in our audience that taught me more than I ever wanted to know about municipal government. But one of the things I learned from him that was really fascinating to me was branding. I learned about that at the county, and the county hired Bay Productions actually to help them. Because they had some issues, let's be honest. But I learned a lot about that. And at first I thought it was a load of crap. And I think Tom knows that. Because I probably told you that.
You were clear.
Yeah. The longer that I've been away from that experience that I had in having a mentor like Tom, the more I think back to him frequently, my God, he was right about that. Like, I was just young and arguing with you and you don't know what you're doing and all of that. But now I've learned about it and I understand it, and I understand the morale that it helps with our staff. I'm not going to sell you guys on anything right now. I'm just going to thank you for the job that you did. Like, it did have impact. We may not have a number, but the amount of people that have come up to me to say something, because they know I'm on the road commission, but they don't know what the hell the road commission does. It has been impactful, but better yet, it's been a tool for people, for me to say, hear it from Dan's words, but Dan doesn't have to take the time to make a phone call.
So let's just talk about the dollars here. So we are talking about, is the proposal to extend the contract for another 6 months for the similar $24,000? Or is it for a different amount?
So we didn't.
We didn't even talk about that. Tonight, that's not what this was. It was just her showing what they did for the last 6 months.
Then why don't?
Well, then it
Why don't you
says,
bring something back next?
yeah, to
month?
discuss extending contract. So I guess that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, so last time,
That's on the agenda.
it was the request of the board, so we kind of left it up again.
Yeah.
We'll look at the board.
So when's the contract run out?
I think it ran out in probably end of July.
End of July.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would go on record, and obviously very thankful to have these conversations, but certainly extending at the same rate with no additional fees by any stretch. Just extending our fun that we have with Dan and the crew.
Still less than one.
Well, we appreciate that. I guess the
Less than
point,
our communications.
the
person.
point is that, okay, so for $4,000 a month, we are talking about having a dedicated team to do what we have been trying to do for the last year and a half, which is to increase communication with the public, to have someone that is putting out information regarding what we do on a day-to-day basis, what the upcoming projects are, when projects are being completed, to have that kind of an engagement. Clearly, if we were to hire a full-time position or in a part-time position, it's probably going to be a lot more than $4,000 a month. So I think if you're looking at it from that standpoint, because I do agree that there is a need to have engagement with the public at some level. Clearly, we don't have the bandwidth to do that in-house. We don't, regardless of, we may be able to do it sporadically, but not on a consistent basis like it's being done for the last 6 months. So that's the point I make, but obviously we are not making a decision there.
If I could make a suggestion, if you are going to make a decision to do it, now would be the time to do it, because 6 months then rolls us through the election period, whereas we're gonna lose another month.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm just, I'm still a no vote, but I'm just saying that if you're gonna
Well, but
vote yes on it, you.
when I
yes
brought
on it.
that up, the comment was that we are not here today. So what is it?
That wasn't my plan.
Well.
Let's be clear.
They're just smart money though. I'm just saying, I mean. if
I was
we get
hoping
back
that
to
the
the buck.
board would extend, but discuss like.
Because I'll make
their
a
own
motion to
recommendation.
extend the contract 6 more months at the present rate of.
On the same terms and conditions.
Same term.
Absolutely, we can,
I'll make a
plan
motion
agreement
to
that Dan signed with the.
So there is a motion on the floor by Commissioner Underwood to extend the contract with Grand Bay Promotions and Public Relations Services for an additional 6 months on the same terms and conditions as the previous 6 months. Is there support? Sure. Support by Commissioner Lehman. Any further discussions? All right, let's do a roll call.
Gilman,
No.
Corn,
Yes.
Lehman,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you, Susan. Thank
all
you very much.
And
And
to
thank you
your
for all the
point,
work.
Jason, anytime that there are people in town that we can highlight doing work for the commission and having you all available, without a doubt, that's an easy opportunity.
I just think that the vote was gonna go yes on this. And if we're gonna take full advantage of it, it's gonna happen now versus a month from now. We've lost a month already.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for all
Thank
the work
you
you've
for
done
your
so far.
support. And what I will say is I do wholeheartedly believe that you guys have a fan club of the road commission out there now.
All right,
And it's fun to hear some of those comments as well.
that's great.
Thank
to
you
hear.
all.
Thank you.
Like the mom and my husband.
Yeah.
My wife.
And even Tom Menzel.
Mental.
I mean,
We'll see about that, right, Tom?
I did see a laugh emoji on your thing. So I don't know what that was all about.
He made a few jokes.
I think let's move on to item H, disposal of equipment. TC. Who the heck is this?
That's Tim Couple.
Okay.
He's not here tonight, so I will step in for all of.
Okay.
of ECs. And just so you know, we are starting to work on a policy for disposal, so we want to come here as often for the.
Yeah.
That would be good.
I know, yeah. I mean, really, we don't need board action to sell stuff,
No,
especially old stuff.
No, we've already
Yeah.
You know, I grind.
I know, I mean, it's,
What, make a motion to dispose of equipment at 238, 619, 891 for the staff.
I'll support.
motion by Commissioner Lehman, support by Commissioner Horn to dispose of the equipment listed. Any discussion?
So what's the policy as us looking at something? I mean, how do we engage without conflict of interest, yada, yada, yada?
You mean you, Bob?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at, for example, the old, Brad's truck, but I'm looking at the tractor. I'm like, okay, you know.
Well, I don't know what, if you pay fair market value
And
on it.
right now we're going through, Gov Deals, it's a third party and anybody bid on it. It's
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay, so if it's on the third side, then it's fine, that's fine. Okay.
Yes, I think as you go, as long
If
as.
that's what we're doing, then it's fine.
As long as we don't sort of take it from our garage and park it in yours.
Right.
You know, I think we are good.
Jason writes a check.
Right, I think, okay, we have a motion and support, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Next item is bucket truck purchase.
Okay.
Dan,
So again, we've been trying to find bucket trucks for the last couple of years. So I think I talked about this last time, like telling us they're 500 days out on build time. Luckily we find this company and we did the sign and signal truck, which is here now. It's almost ready to go out and staff is really happy with the truck. They like it a lot. And we want to replace that on 4th Street. When we talked, we said, hey, I will hold my bid price from last time and it'll come in underneath the 2025 budget if we get this orders. So.
okay,
On these, are there any safety metrics between 40 and 44 that you should be paying attention to? Yeah. You're talking about one or the other, right? Okay, so you're looking at the Axiom lift and Versa lift. This is where.
It's all watching this thing.
and I don't think I need to know.
This was in our budget though, right?
These are all of this.
Coming out of next year.
It's coming out of next year's,
Well, they would come out of 2025.
Yeah.
but we're getting it this year.
Well,
No,
no,
okay.
delivery will be 2025.
The delivery.
I'm just, okay, so we have a 40 foot or a 44 foot. I mean, is there, when I talk about safety metrics, I'm just talking about, you know. I've been in a bucket truck before that's kind of, I should never have been in that bucket truck for as much as I weigh, for example. I mean, you know.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but. Okay.
So, you know, I mean,
You and I aren't gonna get.
if the 40 foot, for example, is considerably safer, yeah, it might not have the reach, but how often do we have to reach 40 foot? For tree trimming or signs or,
truck is actually 50.
okay?
So I really think we're comfortable bringing that down. a little
Somebody who
bit.
stands on someone's shoulders.
Yeah, you can put a ladder in the bucket.
It'll be fine.
So what we're recommending though then is the MTech company?
Yeah, it's a cheaper.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It's 4 feet taller and it's,
Well,
Yeah.
the one nice thing about this is what this actually is a safer truck, because the stabilizers are all come out hydraulically. Right now, ours are manual and a lot
Right.
of people are like.
So it's better than what we got right now.
It's much better, much safer. And the biggest thing, our current trucks, they are, sorry.
So-
Language, if you get electrical wires that we're not safe, this is actually insulated booms that we get into the wires. That it's actually
Okay.
insulated.
And then Bill is good with, I mean, so this one says 30 days. Are we going to order and then have it, order it 30 days out from, or prepare the order so that we get it in 2025? Or are we just gonna plain take the money for 2025 in advance?
So it won't show up until January of
Okay,
2025.
I'll make the motion that we go with the MTech company, bucket truck with the Axiom lift, for $199,900.
I'll second it.
we're not doing more or less.
Oh.
Okay.
No, yeah.
No, you're not doing that.
We're just doing 199.
Okay,
Okay,
It's
Is this
just
the
not-
exact same truck?
so
Is this the exact same setup?
Yeah, the exact same truck, so it'll be nice to have two identical trucks.
So there's a motion from Commissioner Gilman, support by Commissioner Underwood to purchase the MTech company F554 4x4 diesel in the amount of $199,900. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Corn,
Yes.
Lehman.
No.
Underwood.
Yes.
Gilman,
yes.
Cass,
Yeah,
motion carried.
okay. Next item is design services for three traffic signal modernizations. Okay,
Okay, so this is part of the plan that Haley showed us of the next three that we need to work on, and they are, already have budgeted item.
How old is that 3 mile of Parsons Road now? That isn't that old.
I'm not sure if Haley was here, I should have printed off her cheat sheet, has all that information that I had here, so.
Motion to approve the design services for 119,525.
I'll support that.
motion by Commissioner Lehman, support by Commissioner Thorne to approve design services for three traffic signal modernizations in the amount of $119,525. The question I have is, it says that for North Long Lake and Herkner, that there is a potential for receiving HSIP funding. First of all, what is that? And then if we are going to get that funding, should we hold off on approving
I know,
design services for?
We're gonna try to work with the school.
That was
try
the
to.
big thing, right?
and-
I would say the improvement program.
Yeah.
I think we did that, but we made it contingent upon
TCAPs.
about TCAPs and because,
Going with
The
the single,
bond.
single exit. Well, I'm,
but this is different. This is just called the signal modernization. But I guess my question is more that what is that funding? And if you're going to be getting that funding, then should we hold off? This.
Well, the funding would not be applied to this. We always design them. The funding is for the construction.
Okay, so that's.
So we could have it, design it, put it on the shelf. And that wouldn't affect the funding.
these are just the design.
This is just the design. Okay. All right, we have any further discussion on the motion?
I just want to make a note on the letter. It says Garfield and Burnley. It's actually Keystone. At Burnley.
Okay, so,
Just to
okay,
clarify, because I wanted to line the road.
Just say that's new. I'm reading that.
I didn't even know, I was gonna say, I didn't even know there was a light there.
yeah.
Isn't,
Yeah.
no, in Garfield and permanently, I'm
Yeah,
like, what is
it's a
that?
blinking, yeah, that's a blinking
Yeah.
on it.
No,
No,
it's a regular.
There's a light in
Yeah, but it's only about 10 years old. I mean, so it's kind of like,
At Garfield and Brimley?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, right there, the car dealership there.
Really?
Yeah. Hey, go to the school the other direction.
Yeah,
They have some great signs up there.
they do.
Yeah, they do.
They do.
It's a wonderful sign.
Yeah, I
Really?
know.
all right,
Perhaps I've driven through the light because I don't.
Oh, boy.
okay. Okay, so, with the correction, to your motion that it's for Keystone at Brimley and who supported that? Was it?
I think I did.
Okay, so are you okay with that correction?
It sounds good to me.
Okay, roll call, please.
Underwood,
Yes.
Gilman.
Yeah.
Corn,
Yes.
Lehman,
Yes.
Chasm,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay.
Reluctant, yeah.
Jason's overwhelming. Overwhelming.
Informational items, managers' comments, old Kingsley facility.
So we talked about a little bit earlier that, the new Kingsley facility moved along nicely and thought it'd be a good time to start looking at the sale of the current building. I have reached out to the land bank and talked a little bit about Brownfield. And it looks like that might be a really good option for us, but I just wanted to kind of open up the board, make sure everybody's comfortable with that. I have talked to Chris Forsythe down at he's on the chair that the directing his my contact. He's hoping to come tonight and do a little presentation. Unfortunately, he was out of town.
So what would the process be then? And as far as the land bank?
Yeah. So my understanding is that they actually would purchase it and they try to sell it as a redevelopment for housing.
Yeah, we just.
And then
We just
they
did
work
the
in some kind of
financing
brownfield,
Credits.
projects and enticements and what have you.
Brownfield has been changed now, as you.
I know, it's an absolute disaster. It's another one that I'm not real happy with. So
Keep it as this keeps going.
this is actually legit. See, for me, brownfield should have just been, if
The brown.
purchase it, fix it, and then remarket it at fair market value. That would be a great use for brownfield. And then none of this, we're gonna pay you to, or give you tax free for the next 35 years or whatever the hell. it is.
Remember when we talked about who sits in the seat in Lansing?
I know.
Okay.
And anybody can purchase, right, out of the land bank.
That's my understanding. One of the reasons it's nice down there is the
That
village.
developer is interested in it.
Well, village would love for it.
So the village is doing two projects currently. There's the two auto repair places down there. And they're going through this, so they're trying to kind of redevelop the village and, you know, different things. on it. So it would fit right into what they're.
Does that in any way limit what we can actually get for the thing?
Having the land bank purchase it from us?
Is it fair market value, in other words?
I,
It's kind of where the crap as a disaster site or Superfund site.
yeah, I
Well,
mean,
whatever it is, but
It helps cover us in anything they might find in us.
Right, that's a good point.
That's the big thing is that does.
Yeah.
So they don't require.
I'm down with that. Make something like
As in
that
the
work,
fuel
and then we're done with it. It's not gonna be.
Oh, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff.
It was a fuel depot for the state, and then it was ours, so you're gonna have solid.
there's a building on this property currently.
It's pretty much falling apart.
Pretty much have to take it down.
Okay,
Yeah.
this isn't a building we're dismantling and selling to.
No, I think if you,
Well,
if you can get the building, it's gonna have windows.
So the Laginas probably have a film crew ready to move in when we move out.
Are they looking for a?
Who knows, the secret treasure of the road commission case.
So if you, if the land bank buys it, they don't require an EA or anything.
If the land bank buys it,
Yeah,
It's a beautiful thing.
they don't. The
Okay.
EA is once the purchaser.
purchaser, okay.
Yeah.
And is there any benefit to us in terms of it? Do we get any credits next if we want to build on a, say, for example, wetlands or something?
I don't know.
There's no credits at all on that. I
So we
think
basically just feel good about it.
the one thing that I'm a little confused about is just recently something came up with municipality to municipality sale. I just am curious how that works in with the land bank, getting it from another, municipal organization. I haven't been involved in that. I purchased as a municipal organization from the land bank, but I've never had a municipal organization.
But have we appraised this piece of property to see with its environmental challenges, what it would be worth to a private developer?
But yeah, this has been my first step, and I was kind of hoping that, if the board's, comfortable that move forward, and I'm assuming there's a process of going through the land bank that they're actually gonna give us the value of the.
Is it possible to have Chris come maybe next month? Because I think Chris is the one that's been spearheading.
Rushing into this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I think he's got some good answers.
Yeah.
He helped me through the process and Acme with our land bank property.
I just want to get the best value for the road commission for its property, and I just want to just give it to a land bank if there is value to it that a private developer could obtain.
Instead of doing that, I'd make it into a monarch butterfly sanctuary.
There you go.
Where did that come from?
Well, we didn't, you weren't
Press
here.
line.
We talked about it. We're gonna save all the butterflies because so that we can.
The road commission has its own monarch butterfly.
That could be the next video
CRA.
on monarch butterfly preservation.
Yeah, the not mowing the.
And, and I will volunteer to have them sit on my head.
So I mean, if you've been paying attention to the Ball Bunyan meetings.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, they don't want us to mow.
No, I'm well
So
aware
far
of
back.
that.
to the-
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, anything else that you
Oh,
wanted
boy.
to talk about, Old Kingsley facility or any other matters under manager?
Yeah, there's a couple of things, we did talk about the board of the millage. They tentatively have a meeting scheduled for August 9th from 9 AM to 1 PM. If anybody's interested in attending.
You're talking about the county board of commissioners?
Yeah, they almost messed it up because nobody's available, so they really had a hard time.
And they have to have it approved what's going on.
By
the
the
ballot.
middle of August.
By August 13th at
So they're
4
gonna meet on
PM.
the 9th. Right now, they're saying it's very tentative. They didn't lock it down for sure. They're saying August 9th, 9 to 1. But that doesn't work. They're gonna do it on the 13th on the.
I was told that they would try to do it on the 12th and then on the 13th.
It's a special meeting specifically for,
They have two villages.
They have other stuff too.
okay.
There are a couple other.
Are there other villages they've approved for the ballot already? Okay. I guess I'm just curious.
I think this is our third attempt at getting them because they keep finding issues with the language. Now, latest one was the estimates, which is curious because county equalization calculates the estimates. We do not. And so I don't know. It wasn't very clear as to where the problems lie, but hopefully they can get approved and not leave it to the very end on the 13th. So, okay, anything else?
Yeah, only one more thing. August 1st, 4 PM to 7 PM, we're gonna have a open house for employees and family. So they can tour the facilities, see our equipment. And what we did, this is gonna be the second time we've done this, we did this last year as well. We have a lot of employees that are very into old cars and things like that, so
Yeah.
they kind of have a little
Auto show?
auto show out front of old cars, and they can show off their personal stuff, and like also have their families.
See, these guys are like, oh, yeah.
Can you say the time again?
This is good stuff.
4 p.m. to 7 on August 1st.
Wow.
Everybody can make it up.
Yeah.
See, we had to get this thing straight.
Yes, are we,
They're like, this is gold.
have we done something to that effect on that particular thing for, also,
No.
this is that on the hopper?
This is the first I'm hearing, but
So
that is.
now you gotta let them know that we're gonna be getting publicity for all this, so everybody's, gonna get their cars,
They're gonna be a
great
star of
aunts
the
and
show.
uncles and whatever.
So
Read the
the
part.
team will be there to cover this event and to advertise, promote it. I'm assuming you're,
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to talk to them. I was gonna bring up the,
We'll get it on the calendar right this second.
all right, very good.
We'll get.
But that would be great if even if it's an old car show involved.
And there's a lot of employees there that could all be on
They can
camera,
all,
which is what we were kind of hoping to get.
Is it open to the public?
We did not do it open to the public.
See, I have to convince you guys to vote for this stuff, I swear.
Oh, you were playing, yeah, I know, it's reverse psychology.
Amazing.
It was reverse psychology because I'm deploying there.
Amazing.
Any other items, Dan, that you would like to discuss? Okay, moving on to commissioners' comments, questions, and future agenda items. Dan, I'll start with you and then we'll go.
Joe and I were in the parade for the Cherry Festival with the road commission staff, and we got to see them haul behind the antique snow
Isn't that
thrower.
thing great?
It's amazing that our crew redid on their own time. So that's part of that as well. It's 1938, 1939, something like that. It's amazing. Anyways, we had a lot of fun and no one threw anything horrible at us. But we had a lot of people clapping and cheering for the crew at the road commission. It was pretty amazing.
We really send the horn charge stuff this time?
We had the horn on the big truck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it actually was super fun and we had a really good time. And I just wanted to thank the crew that did it, but then also just point out that we have the thing that was refurbished by our own crew. So, yeah.
That was a very good picture you posted with you in the middle with the Zelda guys. I thought that was a nice.
I was like, I gotta sit up on the truck.
Yeah,
I'm
I
much
thought that was
shorter
nice.
than everybody at the road commission.
I mean, did we use that photo on the Facebook page or was it just?
It was just my face photo.
I think that would be nice to put it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a nice photo.
Side note to that is Mickey Fivenson once again won his category in the race.
yeah,
That guy's incredible.
it's amazing.
He is incredible.
Stop by to see us.
Oh, yeah. He stopped by last year too. Yeah.
We had a lot of fun. It was really fun.
Commissioner Gilman?
No,
So the next, we have a special board meeting next month, which is on August 8th. I don't know whether there are any items on the agenda specifically that the board would like to consider for the special board meeting, or, I mean, we don't have to make
come up
a
with some policy
decision.
stuff or something.
I seriously doubt we'll be able to come up with anything between now and August 8th,
You want to cancel it now?
I have no problem.
unless you think there's
No, I think
anything.
that's fine.
Okay, so then we'll just cancel
Okay.
the.
And just remember that we're meeting on Tuesday.
On Tuesday, that was gonna be my next thing. The next-
22nd or something?
The 20th. Our next regular board meeting is August 20th, which is a Tuesday. So please keep that in mind.
Okay. It's a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday, August 20th. Yeah,
In the country?
I don't know, but yeah, I have that on my calendar.
Let's
You
keep
never
it-
know.
Let's keep it in a big opening.
I'm sure there's been a lot of things going on in Washington.
Right?
I have a question about the
Oh,
county
boy.
board and the village. If they have an issue with the language or something, let me just throw that out there. Is this kind of like our last chance to have it put on the, I mean, is there
Yeah.
something we can do
Yeah, this is-
proactively to help our staff?
This is why all the
or-
smart boards
Okay.
have all their villages put on August. Because then they have a second bite at the apple if it gets thrown out.
I see what you're saying.
Well, but they
Okay.
don't. They only put it on November.
I know.
Yeah.
We
A lot of places
Okay.
put it on August 6th and then they get, but Grand Traverse County has a
Doesn't.
policy
Okay.
that they only do it in the general election year.
That's what I had remembered. So there isn't anything we can do, because obviously if like Dan or Larry go there and they have like something,
We
there's
have-
something we could do proactively. to
We
help.
we have approved the language. They come up with the figures. They come up, but we don't do that. So they have to figure out it had to do with the heavily rolled bags and things,
Okay,
which is
Okay, so there's nothing we can do to help. Okay,
And they can increase it a bit.
because I was just thinking that the special meeting was before that, that's all.
Yeah.
So, okay,
No, I think it's in their, the ball is in their court, so to speak.
okay.
Okay, second public comment. Does anyone want to?
Yes.
Please go ahead, comment. State your name and address and you have 3 minutes.
My name, if I see my name is Mike Chatry and I'm from 11253 South Lake Shore. Just wanted to try to offer a different perspective on what we're seeing there. Just ordinary citizen stuff. They're paying federal and state taxes, courts, the road commission and whoever gets it. They're mandated to do certain jobs. In the meantime, we're asked to commit to a millage, and which specifically cited some roads, including ours, as something that would be considered kind of an empowering sort of thing. But what typically happens in a kind of transaction, on one side says, I'm going to give you something for something, and one side takes the something but doesn't give something, felt a little disrespectful. And I'm not trying to assign a motive to anybody here. I don't know what the motive was, but that's how it felt. Not just to me. And then it felt as if, in recognition of that, because Greg's done a lot of work of that, let's say, oversight, that it was communicated to us that I think we can do something about that. We will take care of this. We will take care of this problem. We will pay for it, which feels pretty good too, until you get to the part where somebody says, no, we're not going to do that, which feels borderline unethical, for lack of a better phrase. Now we're in a position to look at another village, and from where I sit and others like me sit, it looks as if we're in a position to say, we'll give you something without any firm knowledge of what will be done with that. In fact, not even a clear path to identify what might be done with that. And the question I ask, and it's not a question I expect all answers to consider, is what you're hoping is for people who have that kind of experience to just say, okay, we'll give it another try. I'm certainly hoping the strategy isn't to say, if you don't do it, we'll just let your roads go down. But I'm hoping you consider that that is something that is out there and it's legitimate. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, and I don't believe I've not run into anybody at the road commission who had what I consider a bad motive. I think people are trying to do the right thing. I've heard a lot of rationale for not following through on things, and I've heard some rationale for what sounds like not doing anything in the future. My question is that how you want this to be? That's what I got. Thank you for your dream.
Thank you. Any other?
Yeah.
Right. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Brian McManus, Heron Road, Chairman of the Bayfield Township Road Committee. Couple quick things. I like the discussion that Commissioner Lehman and Gilman had on complete streets. I think it's excellent the way you guys talked about that, presented that, leaving it up to the engineering to decide what way. You don't always need 5 feet, you don't always need 3 feet. One thing though, you do need is some shoulder. It stabilizes the edge of the road, much like a curve would do in a city situation. So there's probably a sweet spot there, depending on the traffic, and I'm sure Darren will be able to figure that out. The second thing was this road millage. You guys would know better than me the political climate on that. I agree that townships probably need to do more. On the other hand, a couple meetings ago, I think I was here and Larry presented the new tool, and the conclusion at that point, using the baseline study of the dollars available, was that you can only take care of primary roads plus or minus, and the locals need some help. There's no silver bullet out there. The gas and weight tax barely pays for snow plowing and operational stuff.
So everything that basically gets done is this road village. And that's not enough. If I understood that baseline study a couple meetings ago, there was a discussion about only taking care of primaries. And I think I mentioned that is, keep the locals in mind as well. So there needs to be some money somewhere. Perhaps a second road millage in 2 years. It's why I don't run for office. Suicide, but I know that's happened downstate on alternate years. The other thing is maybe there's a look at snow plowing. Is there an alternate way to fund that? Commissioner Korn mentioned the public may not know that's the same pot of money. So if you spent 3 million, I think last year on snow plowing, it should be nice to have that somehow separate and 3 million go towards the roads repair. Obviously, I'm a road repair guy, but, and I know you can't. Last thing I had was, this, discussion on, from these folks, that was good. So I'm wondering if, the road commission or the road millage and their work, good work on informing the public. You know, step one was, looks like, more of an employee effort to see what we do. Employees are happy and so on. And I think, Chairman, you were kind of alluding to the fact, what are we doing for the roads? So what can we do with that policy? So maybe the two worlds could collide at some point and have them go through the mechanics of what this new tool does and other things to promote why we need more money. There's no silver bullets, so on, so on. Just an idea. And also at Dan's level, the word transparency was used a lot. I don't think that's a good word at his level. His level and his employees are here to serve transparency. Excuse me, is at this level. And I think you had to do that for some specific reasons. So from here on out, the effort shouldn't be the engineer, the leaders, transparency, but transparent. His could be handles challenges, serves the public, and so on. Right.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Any other public comment? Okay, hearing none, close public comment and motion to adjourn. We are adjourned.